Hey everybody, welcome to Skybound. I'm your host Jay Lugo. So today you find me in one of our more local ventures. I'm at the park near my house, and I'm gonna sit down and pretty much tell you about that time that I worked for a millionaire. So definitely stay tuned. All right, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm kind of mic'd up here in the elements, so you might hear some cicadas out here. Natural to the area that I'm in, so it's definitely the ambient noise that goes on. So let's kind of dive into it. The time that I worked for a millionaire. Back in April of last year, I took a job with the helicopter operator. I'm going to keep the details very broad. I don't want to point or let this person be identified, but I'm sure those that will know kind of will get an idea of the individual or what have you. But an interesting thing, not everybody gets to work with somebody that has achieved a lot financially, but then there's also the different side of the coin, the insides of the operation. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about my experience with that. Now, if you didn't know this, I came from the public service sector. As a matter of fact, I was a firefighter for over 12 and a half years before actually going into the helicopter industry. I it was a lifelong dream to become a helicopter pilot, and so at a point at 2020, I decided to go ahead and take a big risk and go into the helicopter industry head on, finishing my instrument, getting my certified flight instructor in helicopters up in Oregon with Jerry Trimble. Uh, Greetings to Jerry if he's watching this. But so to go into this atmosphere of working for the public to working with somebody that with very um, the means that this person had was totally incredible. So we'll kind of dive into that here in a sec. Now, to properly do the story justice, I gotta kind of go back to the first operator that I worked for. By no means a millionaire, person that was kind of working as a pilot and then also ran his own helicopter company. But it was a very shoestring tied budget, one helicopter operation. Very neat location though, very close to the coast, and so then after that we had another one up one helicopter operation, same thing. Um, by no means, I never really got to meet my second operator, but by no means what where I'm about to delve into here. Now, picture you're coming from a one helicopter operation to immediately you walk into an environment where there's 12 plus helicopters with spare parts to build a whole new helicopter uh, just out of scratch. Now we're talking about um, Robinson helicopters, but still, you got to think the Robinson R-44s, which typically, if you're flying air tours, that's what you're going to start out at. Those retail around $500,000, so it was very impressive to walk into a hangar, neatly polished R-44s. And to see the magnitude, the operation, the way that this place ran was just flawless. Now, initially, when I walked in, there was obviously your typical drug test. After that, there was a interview flight, not unusual for the helicopter industry. You're gonna go ahead and interview, and they're gonna see how far along you are with your flying skills. If you're gonna be one of these pilots that is teachable, or if you're gonna be a pilot that maybe needs a little bit more training and should probably come back after a few hundred hours. Now, after getting through all this and discussing contract options, I went into a training phase that lasted for a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, not uncommon. This particular operator liked to fly at even during training. You could be flying up to 6 hours, just practicing the routes, getting the routes just down cold. And I thought it was a very uh, approachable way of doing the training because by no means would you ever forget where the routes were just by flying them constantly. And by the time that you were signed off to actually fly by yourself, it really the routes weren't going to be the concern. Now, after this was done, then you were kind of placed on the front of the line, and you got to fly those tours as often as until somebody new came in. So it was just a very interesting system. I thought it was at in the beginnings. I thought it was a fair system because it gave the pilot the confidence, the experience of just getting used to doing what they were gonna do, which is gonna be flying six of those different tours from your shortest tour that was 3 to 4 minutes to your longest tour that could average between 20 to 23 minutes and everything in between. So that was kind of a very fair way of doing things there. Now let's get to the people part, which, like I said, there was 12 aircraft. So obviously we're going to have a few more pilots than aircraft. So in this particular time that I worked, at the most, I believe we had 18 pilots. Now, if anybody knows pilots, especially helicopter pilots, we're just our own individual creatures. Some of us are very type A. You get everything from the run of the mill, from younger people to other older people. So it was just kind of interesting initially to be commingled by so many pilots, just trying to work together in efforts to number one, flying clients, and then number two, running our operation, and number three, dealing with our millionaire boss that sometimes could be very hard to please. Now imagine the flow of this. We'd have sometimes different shifts, but typically what would happen would be the place would be opened during season around 7 o'clock. 7:30 was kind of like our show time, but because we're dealing with somebody that was prior service military, 7:30 was late. So then, um, me personally, I would show up like at 6:30 because I'd go get a workout, and then I get myself into our pilot lounge. I was able to kind of organize myself, and then by 7 o'clock, I would start kind of getting equipment out. And then we had, like I said, sometimes up to 12 aircraft to pre-flight and get out stage. So it behooved us during season to get everything ready to go. That way, when our opening time around 9:30 came and clients would come in to get a flight, everything was ready to go, and then the first pilot was ready to, or first few pilots, depending on, because sometimes we'd have to start multiple aircraft to keep up with the needs of our clients. We were already rolled by being proactive. So I really kind of did like that in a sense. Now, after getting that all set up and flying and getting everything working like we should. Every day was very dynamic, and you were trying to keep uh, the wait time down to like less than 17, 19 minutes for somebody from the time that they purchase ticket to the time they go flying. Now, obviously, that was demand driven. Sometimes it'd go up to an hour or so, and we couldn't help that. As far as if we had people wrapped around the building, there was nothing to be helped as far as getting that wait time down to those 17 up to 20 minutes. But we did our best, and then after all that was said and done, we'd go ahead and get those aircraft. Typically every night we were washing those aircraft because they would fly over the water. So we want to make sure that that corrosion didn't get into the aircraft. So we'd wash the aircraft and go ahead and put everything away, and then the next morning just go ahead and rinse and repeat. Now, on top of all this, we also had a cheap pilot that would come in from out of town, and then every so often the pilots would get to practice emergency procedures, which is very important in the sense of you're flying constant operation. You definitely want to be kept on your toes as far as emergencies go. So it was good to get some practice in emergency procedures, especially during the season. We'd do that. Not unusual quarterly or every few weeks. This chief pilot would come in and make sure that we were kept up with our emergency procedures, and we were able to think of different ways to manage that aircraft, and as well as managing our customers' expectations. We also had pilot meetings. We'd get together at a designated time, and now pilots are expected to keep a certain weight. This is more for the performance of the aircraft. Now, if you think the Robinson can carry up to 300 pounds right behind the pilot. That's what the seats are rated for, and then total of I want to say no more than 600 pounds. And now that depends on the pilot weight also. So the lighter your pilot is, the better that way that they can carry up to those 600 pounds. But so we'd weigh in, and then we'd have these meetings. Typically, if anything needed to be aired out amongst the pilots and the owner, the millionaire, it would get aired out, and so it was a good way for us to kind of blow steam, get through issues, interpersonal issues, right then and there, and just kind of move on to the next thing. Now, for the meat and potatoes, like how was it? I mean, how crazy was it? How I don't know, like how fluid was it? Um, I mean, what can I say? This person, like I said, prior service military, they were, they could be eccentric at times. It could be they wouldn't hold no punches. It wasn't unusual to get your butt chewed, in front of people and stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, as far as how I perceived it, it was just a means to an end. It wasn't like you were getting physically abused or any of that stuff. Now that might have occurred at some point, but I never experienced that. There was kind of like you had to have some tough skin and to deal with this person. Deep down, did I think that they were had some sadistic tendencies? I mean, possibly. It was kind of it was out there at points, but you kind of learn to manage that and got to learn how to, the do's and don'ts, what to say, what not to say, just like every organization. Now, I ended up working for this person for about, I'd say about 11 months or so. And I mean, I kind of wish our relationship would have ended a little bit in a cleaner way, but there was definitely some issues that just didn't get addressed. Unfortunately, I had some friends that had left prior, and I kind of wish those situations would have been addressed, but unfortunately they didn't, and I saw myself at a point where I thought I could further my career by making a big leap and going to oil and gas. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for me, but I mean, I learned a ton from that experience too. So, but another unfortunate is this operation, as of the date of me making this video, is not operating anymore. So, but I mean, the model was, like I said, it was an excellent model for people that are willing to take the time and effort and maybe kind of make this into a smaller, I wouldn't go with 12 aircraft, but maybe 4, 5, 6 private pad concept. I think it could do a lot of good things, not only for clients, but also for pilots that are just kind of starting out in their 300, 400, 500 hour range. It could help those people out. Now, on the way walking back from the park, I just kind of thought about this in the sense of working for that millionaire, that operation, the different friendships that's kind of led through. Now, me personally, I have some very good friends that I kind of stay in touch with from working there. Now, I'm going to pop open my Cyclone. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Cyclone Puerto Rico, but if you feel like it, reach out to me, Cyclone. I'll be happy to drink your videos. Sponsored. But getting back to the friendships, I made some very good friends there. As a matter of fact, a lot of my pictures come from my buddy Keller there. We're still pretty close. Ken is another good buddy of mine. Joe. We stayed pretty close, guys that I can kind of pick up the phone and call. It's always good to have a good circle of pilots that you can kind of call from, and so that place in particular, because there was so many of us there, we some of us got pretty close in the sense of friendship and stuff, and in my particular situation, I got friends that I can kind of pick up the phone, and I'm sure that those other 18, same thing. There's people that got along with each other, and they're still in touch, and then there's some people that you just, you couldn't wait to get away from. But, just like everywhere in the world. But I wanted to kind of touch on that too, because that was the icing on the cake for working in a place like that. So now, if you're still with me, here comes that part where we do that deal where I ask you, if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're watching this content, go ahead and give me a subscribe, give me a like on the video, consider sharing to your friends if you think that they'll like this content. Also, I've gone ahead and put the Buy Me a Coffee links both in the channel description, and I've also added them to the description of the videos. Like I said, this unfortunately, since that oil and gas deal did not work out for me back in May, I've been not working, so just kind of doing this content to stay busy, to get out of the house, and wait until the next thing. It is September, so right now it's not prime season to hire tour pilots, which is understandable. I have seen a few CFI positions being posted. A lot of them are up north, and it's about to get cold, so prime Florida time. But if anything does pop up in Florida and you guys want to shoot that my way, my socials are all in the description. Be sure to reach out, and I'll be glad to entertain the offer. I did see somebody was posting for a private owner somewhere up north. For those situations, if I can get some lodging, and if I can help you out with some CFI, things, I'd be more than happy to take a look at the on a case-by-case situation. But everybody, thank you for sticking along, and thank you for watching. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the next one. This has been Jay Lugo for Skybomb, signing out. Take care, y'all.